In this lesson, we're going to continue where we left off. I had promised you guys I was going to show you how to make a line, another one of those lines that runs along the surface, so I forgot to do that before I pause the video. Let's Alt and Q. Let's go to left viewport and zoom in a little bit. So let me click off, zoom in on the boiler, Alt X, and there's the line. It's just like a little runs down and comes across the boiler. So what we're going to do is come down to Edit Poly, because as you remember, these graphite tools will work on an Edit Poly object, but if you're in a stack and you're higher up in the stack, you have Smooth or Turbo Smooth, it won't function properly on those layers, it won't show up. So you need to be on an Edit Poly or the base Editable Poly if it's an Editable Poly object. Okay, so on surface, we still have boiler selected, we still have 0.100 as the offset. If you check our minimum distance, it's still 0.35. Which is great. Let's save that file really quick in case we haven't. And let's go to splines. And once again, we're just going to left click and draw this shape. Just draw it out. Keep going. Simple as that. We have our line. Let's go to perspective. The boiler is still selected. I'm going to Alt and X so we can see. And you see that the line is on the surface. So I'm going to come down here. Click on that line. I'm going to make it renderable in the viewport just like that. As easy as that, we have another line on the train. And it looks good. So let's save this once again. And what we're going to do next is we're going to make the string and the little loops that hold the string that ring the bell. So F3, I'm going to select the boiler, top of the bell, and the blueprint, and Alt and Q. I'm going to go left viewport. We've been having great success with this project working in left viewport just because you know, the shapes are kind of lending themselves to seeing the length, and we have a reference. As long as we know everything is based on this circular shape for the most part, we're good. Okay, so I'm going to hide the boiler as well, I think, this time, just for the time being, hide selected. And I'm going to draw out with the create shapes line. I'm going to start at the front. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click and drag, make Beziers wherever there's a curve, just like this. Click again. And we're going to go right down the line and make this string so that it has like a little gravity pulling it downward. It's probably just a piece of rope or something like that. And then I'll right click when I'm done, just a little beyond the front of the cabin, just like that. And go to perspective. Okay, and let's take a look. Looks good. I'm going to exit isolation. I'm going to unhide all again. Once we unhide all, we'll be able to see where we should move this line to if it needs any manipulation. Okay, and now with the line still selected, I'm going to just pull it out so that it's not intersecting with any of these portals that are at the top here. And then I'm going to just, let's see, I'm going to up the interpolation to 12. I want that one to look good. It's probably something we might pay attention to, you know, in a render. And I'm going to grab the vert, the end vert here, and align it with the middle of the bell. F3 to see a little better. I'm going to move this in as well. It should probably do something, you know, gradual towards that point like that. And it shouldn't just fall off in a sharp shape because, again, it's being pulled down by gravity. It's a piece of rope or string. So let's move this in a touch and manipulate that Bezier along the x-axis. So I click that arrow, and there we go. And I think a little tweaking, we're going to lift this up a touch. Just like that. And we're going to manipulate that Bezier by clicking on the Z axis. And maybe we'll raise this one up a little bit, just like that. There we go. So that looks good. That's the rope or the string. Let's name it bell string. -01. Oop, hit a wrong key there. Sorry about that. Bell underscore string. Once again, my typing's not so good. String -01. Okay, so that's now named. And now what we'll do is make a little loop. We're going to do it really quickly. We're going to go to create MVH primitives from the drop-down list. Right there. And I'm going to drag a circle out right here, tube cap. F3 if you need to. And inset it a little bit, just like that. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Make sure your angle snaps are on. Mine are. I'm going to go to perspective. I'm going to align that particular loop with the string. So that's like a support for that string, just like that. And lastly, well, one of the last steps, we'll convert to editable poly by right-clicking, convert to editable poly. Grab a couple edges here, and we'll shift and drag them down. I'm going to do one edge. I think we can get away with it. Shift drag as many equal segments as we need to get it down to the boiler. And on that last segment, I'm going to just bend it in a little. Just feels better to me. Okay, and we'll add a shell modifier to that. And a turbo smooth. Right there. F4. And that doesn't look too bad. That's kind of what we want. I'm going to just raise this up. So I'm going to show end result. I'm going to raise it up so it meets the rope. It's not floating in that circle. I like the look of that one. I'm going to make the turbo smooth iterations to 2. I'm going to clone it back to the next area where the string goes upward, which is around there, as a copy. In case I have to modify it at all, I'm going to raise it up just like this so that it meets the string. Goes over this way a little. Okay, it's not bad. I'm going to kick it back. It's intersecting some of those lines, and now we'll just adjust the string as well. And take this vert right here and just kick it back like that. There we go. And that's simply, we have a string that leads to the bell. So I'm going to save the file. And in the next exercise, I'm just going to create some little pieces for the cabin that we left out earlier. And that may be the last full video. So I'm going to pause the video now.